All right, we're live. We'll be starting shortly. Okay. All right. Let me just. Hey, Bill, how are you today? How's your week been
Ian,
going?
good afternoon. I'm doing well. I'm ready to go. How are
Nice,
you?
nice. Good, good, good. So, as we have people come in, this is going out to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. Thank you for joining us on your special weekend for Token Metrics and Crypto Conversations. We're going to recap the entire week. We have Bill on, our expert, who's going to cover TA for Bitcoin, altcoins, Atom, Cosmos, and more importantly, tell us whether alt season is coming or not and which coins we're looking into. Then we'll also have a chance for you to answer your questions towards the end of this discussion. As you see today, we definitely have a brand new layout. We have a nice Token Metrics PowerPoint, and we're going to quickly just kind of cover Token Metrics and kind of the agenda for today. Let's get into it. So Token Metrics is basically getting our spreadsheet and turning this into something more dynamic. The idea is to give token ratings and analysis. And as you can see, we have an entire team of subject matter experts that bring different perspectives, from Bill with his technical analysis, and with Paresh being a blockchain developer, with Sam, me, and Sarab with a fundamental analysis, bringing this all into one holistic platform with crypto investors to go out there and really give you a better idea before investing in crypto. Because crypto is risky, especially the last 1 year, year and a half. Crypto is very, very volatile as a market. And most people, most investors in the space are investing for the first time. So you basically have two different things that are really creating this environment that's very unique and different than anything we've seen before. This is just a quick demo on the platform, Token Metrics. Be sure to sign up at tokenmetrics.com. Right now, we're in closed beta, but we have something very special launching probably at the end of this month or early next month. We'll be giving away special invites to people who are watching this live stream. So if you want to be invited for the closed beta, go to tokenmetrics.com and join the waitlist. And that's tokenmetrics.com. All right, so let's get into the live stream. All right, so today we're being joined by me, Ian Belina, your host, and being joined by Bill Noble, who's our trader in-house, right? Our basically chief investment officer, comes from Morningstar, Charles Schwab, Goldman Sachs. Me, I come from Deloitte and IBM. And all right, well, Bill, let's get straight into it. Without further ado, let me pause the presentation here. So how's the crypto market looking so far, the last 1 week since we last spoke?
Well, some of the analysis that I've been able to do has actually gotten a lot of attention. So in some ways, like Bitcoin, everything is quiet, and we think that's meaningful. And I think the uptick in Ethereum has got people's attention. So the answer to your question is, I think crypto is more interesting than it was, say, 2 weeks ago.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because we see Bitcoin seems to be running out of gas.
Right. Bitcoin is running out of gas, but Ethereum has the awakening, the hash rate, some of the fundamental things that the Token Metrics team has mentioned is cause for a little bit of excitement, a little bit of variety, right? All year, it's been just Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sticking with my theme that, big coins could do well, in the fourth quarter of this year. So everything we saw this week kind of validated that theme. And I'd be happy to go through it in detail with you.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so it seems like Bitcoin is passing the baton to Ethereum.
Well, Ethereum is definitely taking over like technical leadership, right? Stocks have this, which sector, is it real estate or semiconductors? I think in crypto, Ethereum is taking over technical leadership. So if you can see my screen here, you see Ethereum broke this black line. If you see the mouse waving, that's the 200-day moving average. Okay. Why is that a big deal? Well, a lot of big traditional investing types look at 200-day moving averages, particularly in stocks. And we think Ethereum as an alternative currency, and let me say that one again, an alternative currency is going to be really important given some of the geopolitical factors that we have out there. A lot of what you hear in Ethereum is about the technology and problems that they've had there, but I look at it as alternative money. And when Ethereum broke its 200-day moving average, what we're seeing is that Ethereum is just sort of broke it and it came back and it's retesting it today. And if it holds around 208, 205, if it just sort of consolidates here, we think I think that's constructive. Right?
So basically we're now at the moment of truth, right? It's testing support.
Right. We are at a moment of truth where we differentiate between, hey, is this a bear market rally or if it's a breakout? The saying I like to use is, it's not a bull market unless you can buy a dip and make money, right? FOMO has not worked, especially in alts. We'll go through that. Never FOMO into crypto. Famous trader I know says, there's always a dip. So the question is, can we get a dip in Ethereum? Will it hold? And can you buy that dip and make money? And if so, well, it'll be all smiles next week. And if not, then we'll have to reevaluate.
All right. So basically now we're just kind of waiting and right now the approach is to wait and see in terms of the next move.
Right. It's time to wait and see. And I think in Ethereum, it's time to say, okay, on a dip, say, there's like a little flash crash to 200 or something like that. How much am I willing to commit on a dip? Assuming that you would believe in something like a 500 price target or even a 320 price target, like right up here, right? That's 320 you can see up in this corner. So, it's time to say, how many chips do I want to push out there? Now, when it comes to wait and see, that's a perfect segue into Bitcoin. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Bitcoin, you're like, oh my God, this is so boring. I can't take it. Right. Is this ever going to wake up? All right. So let's talk about Bitcoin boredom and let's talk about what it's meant in the past. All right. So these green lines, they were invented by this old guy, one of the, famous technicians of the 20th century, John Bollinger. When the bands are wide, it means the market's volatile. When they're narrow, it means not much is happening. Okay. So one of the ways it works is when the width of the bands gets really low and it's kind of catchy in trading view, they actually have down here on the bottom, you can see with the mouse, they have something called Bollinger Band width. Okay. Think of it as, how much volatility do we have? And as you can see, Bollinger Band width, or, sort of our action index, has fallen to really low levels not seen since, February, April, and May, where Bitcoin got really quiet and then Bitcoin got really explosive. right? And I even keep Bitcoin charts by hand, and I notice that when all falls quiet in Bitcoin, all right, you have to be ready, right? Now, you don't have to bet the farm, but, you know, if you think it's going up, you know, you should probably have a bullish bet on. And if you think it's going to 7,000, you should have a bearish bet on. Because when it gets quiet, all right, and there's another twist, okay? We're in this triangle formation, right? And as you get towards the tip of the triangle, the closer you get to the apex, which is now at 10,200, the closer you get, the bigger the breakout usually is, up or down. So the title of our show is A Big Move Coming? I would say yes. Okay, I mean, unless we're just going to sit here at 10,000 for the rest of the year, and that doesn't make for a very interesting Sunday talk show, right? Not at all, right?
One thing I've learned is nothing is dull in crypto. There's always something exciting happening, whether good or bad.
That's right. So we think that, you know, headed between now and say October 6th, okay, you know, we're going to see action in Bitcoin, right? And that could take a variety of, that could be caused by a variety of things. Let's put it that way.
Now, earlier offline, we spoke and you mentioned that you think the top alts are also getting ready to move. Can you kind of speak on that?
Sure. So let's take a look at Cosmos. Okay, so I looked at Cosmos. You know, I looked at ZRX because that's on Coinbase. So, and I also looked at Stellar, you know, a couple days back. So let's go through alts from the top down, right? Everyone wants alts to go up. Everyone wants alt season because that's where everybody makes a ton of money. Unfortunately, chasing alts in 2019 has been the road to ruin. So what we're looking for in alts is this whole, can you buy a dip and make money? Okay. Or said differently, can good alts base and rally while bad alts go down, or is it all going together? All right. So on Cosmos, here is the bearish case, right? In June, the market started to go down and it bottomed in September. And then it bounced, and it bounced to a Fibonacci level. It's called a 23% retracement in English. It's where you would typically see a bounce in a strong trend. So you could argue Cosmos alts are still in a downtrend. All right. Now in Cosmos, we're looking at this green line. We're looking at the 21-day moving average. All right. One of the things that I hope for and actually believe can happen is if there are buyers in this space because of the fundamental quality of this coin, they're going to show up soon. So, you know, you might have a 10% down day today. You might have a 5% down day. We're at a point where we're really looking to see if buyers come in. Now, if they do, you know, we can wait and see, or you can buy a dip saying, hey, you know, I've watched this thing go down for months. I want to get in. And I would say that makes sense. Now, word of caution. That doesn't work. You know, if alts crack, or if everyone floods into Bitcoin, you could have tax loss selling in alts, right? People have lost money and they can do what people did with Bitcoin last year. Everyone was like, oh my God, how did Bitcoin go from 6,000 to 3,000? How did that happen? That was everybody going, or whales going, you know what? I'm just going to sell it and take the tax loss. So what do we want? Well, we want alt season. What do we hope for? We hope quality alts sort of base and consolidate after a dip. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of just another avalanche lower in loss in alts because of just indiscriminate tax loss selling, right? In other words, you could get prices that you don't make sense, you know, and we had to live through that last year. So like I said, you know, I don't really want any of that this year, but if we're going to do a talk show on all the things that can happen, that's what I would tell you about alts.
Now, I spoke with Tone Base today. I actually had an interview with him coming up probably this week on Token Metrics channel. So he said, which is probably not surprising, but he's bearish on Bitcoin. And he said he thinks the move up from 3,000 to 14,000 and now around 10,000 were, happened because people were selling alts for Bitcoin. You said the Bitcoin dominance moved from 50% to 70%.
Right.
Now, what's your take on that?
Okay. Well, I don't have that chart up, but one chart I did look at was Ethereum versus Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me see if I can pull it up here. All right. And while I pull it up, here's one of the things that I've been telling people about this. Okay. When you look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, obviously you've seen Ethereum do nothing but go down versus Bitcoin. Okay. But then all of a sudden, okay, it took off. Now, Bitcoin dominance may go down because other big coins, remember, like Ethereum, like Litecoin, like Bitcoin Cash, the big coins may drive Bitcoin dominance down. It may not be a complete alt season that drives it lower. Okay. So this is Ethereum versus Bitcoin on a weekly basis. Okay. And what I'm trying to draw on the screen, okay, is something that shows you that this is called parabolic SAR. Oh, you should see the formula.
What is that? What does that mean?
Okay, so parabolic SAR is, are we in a downtrend or are we reversing into an uptrend or vice versa, right? If anybody out there is really into charts, there's a guy named Tom DeMark who has a fancier version of this. But this helps you see when a trend is reversing and get some hints, right? So for example, up here, okay, the first signal, it signaled Ethereum was going to suffer versus Bitcoin, and that went on from April until September. Now what you can see is this week with the performance of Ethereum, that relationship has changed. And if you look at the amount of room that Ethereum has to move versus Bitcoin, okay, you could see Ethereum versus Bitcoin go from like 0.02 to 0.04, right? You could see Ethereum versus Bitcoin go back to where it was in November of last year.
Yeah, basically doubling.
Basically doubling. So, you know, we all know that Bitcoin can go down. We all know that a government could come out with a negative headline. We all know these things, right? The question is, can Bitcoin go up because Ethereum and Litecoin are actually pushing the whole market higher? And people go, wow, I really want these big coins, right? I call it big coin season, right? So when I look at this little plus mark here, you know, I'm bullish Ethereum, Bitcoin, and big coins until proven wrong. Because like, if you know, Bitcoin could go from 10,000 to 15,000, and Ethereum could go from 215 to 400.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Wow.
In other words, you know, last year at this time, you had guys like big players in the hedge fund industry go, the bottom is in Bitcoin at 6,000 and it's going up from here. And there were guys last year when Bitcoin was at 6,000, 5,000, and 4,000 calling for year-end closings about 15,000. Right. So when it was going down, you had reputable people talking about it going much higher when it was crashing. Now this year, I don't hear one word about it. Except on Token Metrics TV, by the way. You know, yeah, I mean, no one's talking about this. Yeah, and all these charts saying, hey, now is the time to start thinking about, you know, I know everyone wants to buy an altcoin and have it go up a lot. I know that's just a really fun feeling. And I know that people have done it before in crypto and they're dying to have it happen again. What I'm trying to do is get you to see that maybe the altcoin that does well and the coin that brings Bitcoin dominance down could be the big ones. Could be Ethereum, could be.
Okay, so we actually have a question here from Juba. He seems more skeptical. He's saying we're hedging ourselves too much. I mean, because it's not really financial advice, right? Because we've seen what happens when people get too extreme or too dogmatic on a particular point of view, right? But for us, I think with this, what we're saying is we're very bullish on Ethereum, right? I mean, that's probably
Yeah, I mean, yes, just to be clear, I mean, I think Ethereum's going up. I think Bitcoin's going up. I think there's going to be a big rally in crypto in the fourth quarter, period.
Yeah.
So I'm not hedging that. What I'm doing is I'm saying, this is what I think can happen. These are the risks, and one of the risks is that altcoins fall apart. And the net conclusion is I just think big cryptos are going to do a lot better than little cryptos.
Yeah, I think as I've kind of covered before, most altcoins, I would say 95 to 95% of them are done, right? So when the next big move comes, I think they'll be left on the side of the road. I don't think they'll be part of the next rocket ship for alt season. I feel like in crypto, people have that shiny new object syndrome, and they're always looking for that new coin, right? To a point where they forget the old coins. So I feel like when this big wave comes for Ethereum and probably eventually maybe alt season, I think it's going to be new coins. And I think, as you mentioned, Cosmos fundamentally, at least our team thinks is very good. And we think that could have a chance to really kind of be at the forefront of that wave. And maybe some other coins, like possibly maybe even Blockstack.
Yeah, sure. I mean, anything in that higher market cap area, I think can do well.
Yeah. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, please just type them in the comments and we'll get them and ask them. Okay, somebody's saying Ian's talking from experience, aka Zebi. Yeah, Zebi was one of those 2018 projects that I made money on paper, but I didn't sell at the right time. And mainly because, as Bill mentioned, there are lots of risks involved, right? So lots of Americans made money, but this altcoin got listed on an exchange that Americans couldn't really sign up on. So we basically got wrecked. By the time we got onto an American exchange, the price was destroyed, right? So there's so many risks involved in crypto that it definitely helps to practice risk management. All right, so Carl is asking about XRP, Ripple. Somebody's asking about PinDX as well. So let's add those to our watch list. Are you done with Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bill?
Yes, I'm done with that.
Okay.
Okay, so Ripple, talking about Ripple without offending anyone or hurting anybody's feelings can be difficult, right? Because people are really passionate about this. Again, it's like with all of these smaller coins, right? So what you're going to see on TradingView here is here's the big rally in Ripple, right? Every year, it seems like Ripple does a big September rally, right? So over here is September of 2018 to get this huge move up. Okay, this year, looks like so far, this is what we've got out of Ripple. That was the huge rally. Okay, not very exciting. I don't think this is terrible because I think there's still support down here, but Ripple's got to do something, right, to get a better chart picture, right? Like this black line is the 200-day moving average. The last rally, it looked like they were going to try to take it out, but here it fails badly. So, it's like, show me the money, right? Show me some positive price action and I'll get excited. Right now, it's just not there.
It's not looking good for Ripple. Now, they also have competition because now all the banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, they're all creating their own cryptocurrencies, right? This week, or last week rather. Wells Fargo announced launching their own cryptocurrencies for cross-border payments. So what is really the use case for Ripple at this point? I mean, yes, they had first mover advantage, but if all the Wall Street banks are just going to create their own cryptocurrency, that definitely does, I think, kind of encroach into their space.
Right. I mean, there's a famous saying in business, little guy innovates, big guy wins. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, Netscape invented the browser, and then it was Explorer, then Safari, then Chrome, right? The little guy made it, and then the big guys perfected it. Ripple is probably more of a software and technology company in terms of like a payment system. But like you said, do you invest in this token?
Not really.
I'm sure the answer to that at the moment is no.
Okay, so Irish Forever is saying, don't forget their partnership with MoneyGram. I think they purchased MoneyGram, if I recall correctly. I think they purchased that because they had a bunch of money. But yeah, I mean, right. Ripple definitely does have lots of money in the bank too.
Yeah, I mean, Ripple Inc. has a value proposition. Okay, the question is hot money going to chase Ripple on the upside? Right, from a technical analysis point of view.
Yeah, so seeing here, they invested $50 million into MoneyGram. This is from June this year. Yeah, so that's their partnership. They definitely do have lots of money to make all the partnerships and deals they need.
All right, now, if I can, the good news about Ripple is that unlike other altcoins, it's not falling apart. It's just trading in a range, right? It's at the lower end of the range, but it's not falling apart. So, it's not exciting, but it's not a disaster. It's like neutral.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so here we have a question in terms of portfolio allocation. So they're mentioning some altcoins here, but I think let's just kind of speak in terms of how would you allocate money in crypto if you're building a crypto portfolio?
Okay, so that's a great question. Okay, so if you have an altcoin that you're absolutely in love with and the price action's decent, I would say that altcoin should be no more than 5 to 10% of your portfolio. And even to get to 10%, you better really love it between now and the end of the year. If the whole tax loss selling thing doesn't materialize, then in January, you can increase it to 15 to 20% for a alt or preferably a group of alts. Okay. I think 3/4 of your money has got to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe Litecoin until further notice, especially out until the end of the year. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much kind of agree with that. I think not more than 10% in any altcoin. I mean, yeah, that's anything over 10% is way too much because that's how people lost money the last 1 year. Then in terms of Bitcoin, yeah, Bitcoin is king. I mean, actually, I'd add Tether in there because I have been kind of bearish the last few months in crypto, but now I'm seeing Ethereum is kind of beginning to move, right? So I'll definitely have some money in Ethereum and ETH. I think ETH is definitely ready to bounce.
Right. So I mean, I think for portfolio allocation, you stick with the big stuff, and if you want to play in alts, in trading and investing, doing nothing is a choice. It is an action. You can keep your powder dry for what you think is going to be the next big move in alts, which could be 3-4 months away. So you can still be invested, but you want to have some capital on the sidelines. So if it does crack the way Bitcoin cracked last year, you can get involved in December and be like, oh, wow, look at these great prices. I just got my favorite altcoin.
Right. Okay, so let's look into PundiX, which is NPXS, I believe. Yeah, PundiX and Bitcoin, maybe. Oh man, that does not look good. That's like a mountain going down a mountain.
Right. So with things like this, I mean, let me see if I can change this moving average. Okay, bear with me. Okay. So, you know, what I noticed with this is, you know, on the way down, it just keeps following the 21-day moving average down. That's the green line. Okay. You know, you need to see something in this with volume like people really want to buy it, right? This chart, the way these candles look, this looks like a penny stock. That's just not doing much. So, you know, I'd want to see at least one decent volume up day before I got excited.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, it's not really moving at all. It's actually, it is moving, but down. And that's very unfortunate, because that was one of the biggest wins we had last year in terms of investments. But I mean, like most altcoins, it's been decimated. So
right. And just frankly, it just looked like no one's is particularly interested. So it doesn't have that hot money bid.
Yeah, so let me see here. So on Twitter, Jay Gold is saying stay in top 20. I mean, I think top 20 is maybe even a stretch, right? I think, as Bill mentioned, I think right now the only thing that looks good in terms of what we're bullish on, I think, is Ethereum at the moment, and maybe a few others. But me personally,
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Ethereum.
I don't think I want to do Bitcoin SV, right? You know, Stellar might be okay. You know, but even some
now, from a TA perspective or from just pure fundamentals?
just no, not from a TA perspective necessarily. You know, logically, some of these things can, you know, be okay, right? I don't think Stellar and Cardano is going away, okay? But I think it's not top 20. I think it's top 5, right?
Yes.
So, you know, it might not be Ripple, and it may not even be EOS. It might be Binance Coin. Okay.
So actually here, so we've actually been doing our own research into the fundamentals of cryptocurrencies, and we'll be sharing this on Token Metrics when it launches. So be sure to sign up for the waitlist at tokenmetrics.com. Actually, Bill, here, let me just share my screen for a minute to show people this spreadsheet. Okay, all right. So right now we've gone through and we've rated the top 50 at the moment. Obviously, this is just our opinion, right? But we've gone through, and this is just purely on the fundamentals. And we have different data points such as the consensus mechanism, the security, the scarcity, their mindshare, the team, liquidity, which is crucial for crypto, the development of the project, authenticity, the need, the marketing, all these different data points. And for us, if we have to go through here and rank these, let me rank these based on, let me sort. So to us, the top projects from a purely fundamental perspective, not TA, not technology, just pure fundamentals. Bitcoin, obviously, Zcash, Ethereum, BAT, Holochain. I know lots of people like that one. It has a huge community. 0x, which is one we covered this week, I believe.
Yes, we did.
Monero, Cosmos, Atom is in there. Chainlink, Dash, VeChain, Augur, Neo, Binance. And I would probably stop there. So I would not personally touch anything from 80 and below. Now, this is purely just on fundamentals, right? In terms of, but I think one thing I've learned personally from investing in crypto and making money and also losing money, I think you learn a lot more from the money you lose. I think you can't just take purely a fundamental approach. You also have to factor in the TA. You also have to factor in the technology, right? So if we look at the technology scores here, so the top projects we have, let me let me sort this real quick. Okay, so purely from a technology standpoint, the best projects are Bitcoin, Ethereum. They're almost perfect because it kind of makes sense why they're in the top two. Then Binance, surprisingly, is up there. Then the second tier, we would call second tier alts: Cardano, Dash, Neo, Cosmos, Stellar, Tron, surprisingly, is in there. Tezos and V Systems. So what we're trying to do with Token Metrics is take all these different data points, these different grades, and create a holistic grade. So imagine combining the technology score with the fundamental score we have here, with the technical analysis score we have as well, right? And then getting a single holistic grade. So that's what we're working on. But for me, right, if I was going to hold any alts, because people are saying I'm bullish on alts, I'm not bullish, but bearish on alts. I'm not bearish on alts. I'm bearish on most of them. But there are a few that are still, I think, good long term. And I would say those that have a combined average over 80% for the fundamental and the technology, right? So the ones that are both on this list and the other list I just shared are probably the ones I would hold, right? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB is in there, surprisingly, right? And with that, I'll give it back to you, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, let me see if I can take a look at BNB.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and put your screen back on.
Okay. Let's take a look at BNB and see what we get. I'm going to look at it versus the dollar. All right. So, you know, with Binance Coin, you know, what the good news is sort of the Bollinger Band width is crashing. So Binance Coin hasn't been doing much for long enough to make it interesting. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find a reference point using, say, fib retracements. Okay. So, you know, this was like down here, it's like, what's Binance Coin? I don't know what that is. And this up here is like, oh my God, I have to buy Binance Coin for my grandma, right? So after that happens, you usually get like a sideways correction. Let me see if I can draw it for you right here, right? So this looks like A, B, C. Okay, so you'll have a trend, and then you'll have, it's called the zigzag, maybe in an old-fashioned chart book. Elliott Wave guys call it ABC. The bottom line is, you know, somewhere probably maybe at 20 or just under 20, Binance Coin is worth getting involved in, right? You just showed it on your spreadsheet. I looked at that and I'm like, well, if that's the number 3 choice, let's go, right? the next, you know, the next big thing will be probably a bigger coin like Binance Coin. So, you know, if somebody said, I want to take a shot at being long Binance Coin around 20, I would say, that's a great idea. Try it. Because somebody used to tell me, famous trader, you got to earn the right to take risk. Okay, that usually means like if you say, okay, I think Binance Coin is going to hold at 20. And you buy some at 20 and it goes to 22. That's that whole thing where you bought a dip, you made money, and then you can take that money that you've made and invest it in a bigger position, earning the right to take risk.
So as you make more money, your appetite for risk increases.
That's right. Right. And we're waiting. We're optimistic here for Binance Coin, but we're waiting to see a bounce off a big level like 20, right? You know, there's this area here where Binance Coin took off from, right? That's between here and 19, right? So that might be a place where you would expect it to stop. Okay, right in this area.
Okay, so this is what? This is the 4th leg of the retracement?
Well, what I'm
third?
thinking is this is the last leg. So
The
it
last
normally
leg,
has a
okay.
first part, that's A, a second part B,
B,
and a third part is C,
C.
right? So, if this read is right, Binance Coin should find its footing near 20 or just under 20. Because we know how things work in crypto, right? If 20 is the level, it'll go to 19 to scare everybody and then come back.
All right. So we have from Irish Forever. He's saying, this is a dope Sunday podcast or video. Thank you guys. Yeah, we thank you so much. We appreciate it. If you guys liked us, definitely make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, like, share with your friends. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Let me give our audience a shout out. We know your time is valuable, and we know there's a lot of noise in crypto. So we're trying to deliver the best product we can. But, I personally appreciate anybody out there who's taking the time to tune in. And even my appreciation goes out to Ian for having me on the show.
All right, of course. Okay, so let's go to a different altcoin here. Let's see. Actually, somebody's asking about currencies, about the dollar.
Okay.
So they did cut rates again last week. What's your take on that?
All right. So let's
inching closer and closer to the big recession, it looks like, or to the dollar crashing.
Let's talk about the dollar, okay? Because they're talking about the dollar in the media. All right. Now, all right. So everybody thinks the dollar should go down. But the funny thing is, it isn't. Right? It keeps hanging out up here, right? This is the dollar index versus big currencies. Now, why is the dollar staying strong? Well, I'll give you two simple reasons. One, when you have events like Saudi Arabia, people get scared. The dollar is actually a safe haven when people get really upset. Okay. The second reason the dollar may be staying strong is because the European Central Bank is just printing the dollar's biggest counterpart, the euro, indiscriminately to maintain economic growth in Europe and government solvency. So, foreign exchange is like a teeter-totter, if you could see me, right? Euro lower, dollar higher. All right. So the dollar is stubbornly higher is the bottom line. Now, what can change that is what this person may be asking. In a nutshell, the Trump administration and the Treasury have got the ability and the wherewithal to do something before the election to force the dollar lower. Okay. I read something that was in Barron's that was turned around and punched in, put up on LinkedIn from Exante data. Okay. It's a survey that says 34% of big foreign exchange participants expect the US administration, not the Fed. The Fed's not ready for it. The US administration to try to do something to force the dollar lower, okay, to try to win the trade war and boost our economy. Now, Exante is pointing out that they think there won't be a dollar intervention because of how much volatility that would create in the currency market. Well, folks, we're in crypto and we all eat volatility for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So bring it on, right? Honestly. Yeah. So the dollar is too strong, and the president of the United States may decide to take action to weaken it because you can like him or not like him, but he doesn't like to look bad. So we think that this eventually benefits crypto enormously because any hint of this would be something that could make Bitcoin go up a lot. All right. And my final note is, one of the president's advisors says, the last time they talked about it, they decided not to do this. And what Exante pointed out was the fact that they even talked about doing it is a big deal. So, dollar too strong for now, but, when you make investment decisions today, you want to say what's going to happen in the next 3, 6, maybe even 12 months. somewhere in there, someone's going to try to push down the dollar. So it's not an end of the world apocalyptic dollar decline. It's somebody trying to literally force it down, and that would be the U.S. administration. So that would be my answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, because I hear so many people saying the dollar is going to decline or crash, but I think they're going to prop it up for as long as they can. I think it's going to take a lot longer than people think, right? Because, I mean, Trump himself said he's not pro-crypto, right? So I think they're going to do whatever they can to keep printing more money. I mean, and I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I know it's definitely good for crypto.
Right. You know what? Well said. I mean, it's like almost no matter what they do, there's something out there called MMT, modern monetary theory. Okay. That, you know, younger generations like Generation X and Generation Y, millennials and Generation X are really into. Okay. You know, the political left is very into it. Basically, what it means is you print all the money you could possibly need for anything, government programs, rent subsidies, universal basic income, and then you try to offset the inflation by taxing the rich. Okay. You know, how many people are going to buy Bitcoin if that becomes a 2020 presidential election topic?
I mean, I think it could be, right? Because not to get into politics much, right? But Andrew Yang is one of the few pro-crypto candidates, and he's being backed by Silicon Valley and Elon Musk and some people in crypto. I know he was at Consensus this year, right? So it seems like he's really garnering some traction. I mean, I don't really believe in everything he says, especially the taxes part, right? But I think if we can get politicians who are pro-crypto, that's huge. That's as huge of a win we can have.
Right. I mean, if you're in crypto, I mean, you'd love to have a pro-crypto president, or sort of fortunately and unfortunately, you'd have to have what they call in economics policy error, right? You know, too much money printing, or, you know, a forced dollar devaluation that goes wrong. It's almost like whether the right wins or the left wins, you know, the political landscape, I think, favors crypto, right? Unless they come out and say it's just flat out illegal, you know, any other outcome based on, you know, scenarios that are being talked about, right? This is not stuff we're making up. Some stuff's on major blogs this morning, MMT in particular. So, you know, the political landscape favors crypto. We all know that there's FUD.
Can you speak more about MMT? Somebody's commenting about it.
Okay. All right. So I don't know exactly who invented MMT. I know Bernie Sanders likes it, and I know AOC from New York loves it. That's the congresswoman from the Bronx.
Oh, no.
I know. I grew up in Jersey, and she came out of nowhere. You know, she loves this stuff.
I won't take it there in case I anger anybody who supports her. I'll stop there.
Right. Well, you know, the thing is, if you're into crypto, you actually love this woman because of the following that she's got on Twitter. And she pushes this MMT idea every now and then. So, for example, here's an idea. So Bernie Sanders came out the other day and was talking about rent control. And if you live in Hong Kong or California or New York, you know, rent is hell, right? It can even be in places like Austin, Texas, which is, you know, got spillover from Silicon Valley. Well, if the government is going to help everybody with this, if the government was going to give everybody $1,000 a month, right? Universal basic income, how would they get that? Well, it's simple. They would just print it, right? MMT equals printing money and handing it out as needed for anything from Medicare to help with rent, food stamps, climate change. That's AOC, Green New Deal. So they want to print money. They don't want to print it subtly like they do now. They want to just say, good morning, world. We are running the printing press and handing out money. Now, does that make economic sense?
No way.
No. However, again, this is on Major Blog this morning. Generational conflict is probably going to be a big theme for the 2020 election, right? Something like 40% of the electorate is millennials and Generation X. These are like young people who have had a hard time post 2008, and they're open to these ideas, and they make up a large chunk of people who vote. So I want to be neutral about these things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like our AOC, what's the name again? Cortez, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Cortez, right?
Yeah, so I feel like she's the Democrats' response to Trump, right? Somebody who can leverage social media to rile up a bunch of people to support them, right? And being very polarizing, right? It's definitely a winning strategy in social media, for sure, right? But it also pisses off lots of people, right? So, but I know for sure she's going to run for president once she's over 35. I can already see that coming a mile away.
Right, and then there's something to consider. It's sort of an old-fashioned Wall Street term. It's called tape risk. In other words, what's on the tape and who's on the tape or who's on Twitter as the election approaches, right? So once they finally get a candidate to stand up against Trump, somebody might actually talk MMT.
Okay, so that brings up a good question. How does Wall Street trade political risk? Or like for example, Trump, right? Trump is known for tweeting about a stock and it goes up or down in a day, right? How does Wall Street, or how do traders trade that? How do you factor that in?
All right. Well, when it came to Trump, I was in a small camp that actually thought he was going to get elected. But I couldn't get anybody's attention to that as an analyst at the time. So a lot of time, Wall Street ignores unusual things until they actually happen. Now, in terms of what's on Trump's Twitter, the answer to your question is you can't manage that. I can remember seeing a tweet from James Cramer saying the guy wakes up in the middle of the night and the first thing he does is check Trump's Twitter feed. This is back when Trump was really good. Yeah. So all you can do is stay tuned on Twitter and keep your position small enough. There's no way to take these things into account except to know, like, for example, Trump might not like crypto because of Libra. He might not like Bitcoin because it's used by Chinese opioid producers, right? However, I don't think they want to make the Bitcoin community upset. I remember Trump administration officials saying they liked Bitcoin when they were mad at the Federal Reserve for not lowering interest rates enough. Seriously. Chief of Staff came out and said, you know what? We need Bitcoin. We're sick of the Fed. So we just have to know what the range of outcomes are, and we have to know what the left thinks, and we have to know what MMT is, because the day anybody starts to take those candidates, the Elizabeth Warrens, Bernie Sanders, if AOC gets behind these people with her Twitter feed, you just have to know who they are, what they think, and what are the theories. And you have to know it's pro-crypto, and hopefully have that sort of buy and hold mentality where, if Ethereum, dips a little bit, or if Bitcoin sits still at 10,000, we don't all go, oh my God, forget this. I'm not doing it. I'm so bored. I'm out. No, don't do that. Right? These things are out there. You just need to know what they are so that when they hit the tape, if they start to affect the market, then you can invest and trade accordingly.
Okay, so somebody's asking, there's actually, I guess it's a comment. They're saying they think Backed is going to dump the market. He's claiming Crypto Stanley is saying, my algo is predicting big Backed dump with 80% accuracy. Okay, that's interesting. Would definitely like to have more info on your algo. But what's your take on the Backed launch? Do you think that's going to cause the market to go up or down?
I think Backed allows smaller hedge funds to actually get involved in Bitcoin. Okay. Instead of, giant players, I think, are using the Bitcoin futures contract. I think it allows people, smaller institutions, to get involved. Okay. Now, on the flip side, you could say, well, BAC's going to be a great way for whales to use, kind of a very strong pipeline to unload their holdings.
Yeah. I mean, as Chris says, he's saying sell the news, basically. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much worked in crypto, right? Very few times has something done well post-news announcement.
Right. I mean, I think the trade where whales were selling was last year, right? I don't know why a whale would sell Bitcoin when it's either in an uptrend or consolidating. I mean, they bought it last year at 6,000 and they sold it all at 3. So the ones that bought it at 3, they're going to have to take some substantial heat on their positions before they're going to get out. So if BACT creates a $3,000 downshift, I can see this person's theory being correct, right? In other words, both can come out of left field in crypto, and I don't pretend to know all the scenarios.
All right, so he's saying he's going to send us the info. Yeah, so send us info at tokenmetrics.com. And by the way, we have a blog at tokenmetrics.com, where Bill posts his TA. He's been posting 3 times a day, Monday through Friday, right? So from Bitcoin to Ethereum to altcoins. We're also looking for anybody who would like to add to the blog as a guest writer. So definitely email us, info@tokenmetrics.com, if you have any content, whether it's, as Crypto Stanley is saying, his model that is predicting what's going to happen on BACT, or anything like that. Anybody who's an analyst who can create great content, be sure to email us. All right. Ian is back. Keep coming with the fire. Thank you, Irish. What are we buying now? Me personally, I'm not buying anything, right? But based on the last week or so, if I were to buy something, me personally, it probably would be Ethereum, as Bill has just kind of shown us, right? It's kind of turning around. Now, how about you, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Ethereum, and then I think they're going to spin the wheel in Bitcoin. I would prefer to buy Bitcoin if I saw it jump up above 10,400. I think that's the best way to do that. But I want to have a small Bitcoin position, right? I want to have a core long, right? Because I think there's a bigger risk that it spikes to 15 than it goes to 7. Because we all know what happens when it goes up, right? It's like people will be like, oh, I'll buy it later, or I'll buy it on a dip, and then it's gone. And then they're like, oh, well, I can't buy it. It's too high, right? So that's why I think you got to have some now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Any last words, Bill, before we wrap up the show?
Ian, it's always been a pleasure. Manage your risk well, think clearly, and stay with Token Metrics for the latest.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for watching the show. Definitely be sure to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Follow us, tokenmetrics.com. Join the waitlist to get notified when we launch. Follow all of Bill's posts on our blog.tokenmetrics.com. Right? We have daily TA, Monday through Friday, 3 times a week. Also available in our Telegram group as well. Just search Token Metrics in Telegram. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
All right. Ian, see you next time. Thank you.